One of the few things the Articles of Confederation and Constitution governmental systems have in common is they both have legislative branches. It's the only branch that the Articles of Confederation government has. Obviously, the Constitution adds an executive branch and a judicial branch, but that comes later. So the only thing they have in common is they both have a legislative branch. But even that, they're set up very differently. So under the Articles of Confederation, Congress was unicameral, meaning just one house or like one part. It's a one house Congress. It's only made up of one unit or one part, and every state had one vote, regardless of the size of their state. So that seems fair, but inherently that's a problem because like why should Pennsylvania have the same amount of power as like Rhode Island, despite the fact that Pennsylvania has like so many more people? So it seems fair, but it actually gives the smaller states a lot more power than they really deserve and takes power away from the more populated states. So under the Articles of Confederation system, it's a one house Congress, a one part Congress, unicameral, and every state has one vote, regardless of the size of your state. The Constitution is going to change this. And it is one of the biggest things that happens at the Constitutional Convention is that big states and small states disagree over how representation should be based in this new Congress. So at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in 1787, when they're hammering out the details of this new government, the big states propose what becomes known as the Virginia Plan. So this is the big state plan. What they ask for is they want a bicameral Congress. That means two parts. They want two houses, unlike what existed under the Articles of Confederation. And no surprise, instead of having like one vote per state, they want to make it so that each of these houses will be based on a state's population. So the more people you have living in your state, the more representatives you would get, right, in both of these new parts of Congress. Clearly, that's going to benefit the big states. Small states aren't going to want that. So they respond at the Constitutional Convention by pitching what's called the New Jersey Plan. New Jersey Plan essentially keeps the way Congress worked under the Articles of Confederation. Um, for them, if it's not broke, they don't want to fix it. Why would they want to give up the fact that they're equal to like the big states? So they want to keep it one house, unicameral, and each state gets one vote, regardless of the size of your state. So what ends up happening is after weeks of intense debate between the big states and the small states, there's a compromise that's reached. And it's one of the first compromises reached at the Constitutional Convention, and it gets the nickname the Great Compromise as a result of it. And basically it establishes the legislative branch as we know it today. It creates a bicameral legislature, two houses like we have today, and there's a part taken from each plan so that each side is happy. So one House of Congress is created that's called the House of Representatives. This makes the big states happy because in the House of Representatives, that's based on population. The more people you have living in your state, the more representatives that you get in the House of Representatives. So California has the most, and a state like today, like Wyoming, would have like the least, right? Or South Dakota or North Dakota or a state like that, right? California has over 50 representatives of the 435 that exist in the House of Representatives today, where Wyoming and the Dakotas each have like one. So the big states obviously have a major advantage. But to make the small states happy, a second house of Congress is created called the Senate, and every state in the Senate has two senators, two votes, right? Regardless of the size of your state. Pennsylvania's got two senators, Wyoming has two senators. So the small states can kind of gang up on the big states in the Senate, and that's where they have the advantage. So this is significant because this compromise basically creates the legislative branch that we have today, the bicameral structure, the House of Reps and the Senate.